You are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact, and more revenue in your business. Tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Campbell Rapin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers that convert consistently. We'll see you all on the inside. Welcome back. I know that you are here, part of the audience, because you want to create more impact. You want to amplify your message to create more client growth in your business. All of that sounds amazing, and it requires one simple thing: a commitment to getting out of your own way. And sadly, that is actually one of the biggest challenges every business owner I know faces. Today on Amplify Your Marketing Message, we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome and this big elephant in the room that is holding you back from creating the impact that you want. I'm going to share with you a personal story of my own imposter who took a visit into my life last week and give you 4 strategies to help you recognize, move past, and limit the negative impacts of imposter syndrome in your business so that you can reach those very big dreams that you've got. I am your host, Campbell Rapin. I am a business strategist and mentor. I help people figure out the foundations of business to create scalable success. And I know this is the elephant in the room. There's a lot of conversation in the world of entrepreneurship about imposter syndrome. We hear about it, but very few peers, I will tell you, are openly saying, I feel it. Well, today's going to be an exception because I hope it will spark your ability to have this conversation with your peer groups, because imposter syndrome is everywhere. I read a stat, it was about a year ago, where someone said that for women entrepreneurs in particular, which of course I am, 75% of us feel like an imposter when we start building our businesses. And it doesn't matter whether you're going after your first $1,000 in your sales, your $100,000, or even in the multi-millions. Imposter syndrome visits us at every stage where we are leveling up, which is why I find it fascinating that we're not talking a little bit about this when it comes to not just a general concept, but a personal struggle, because it doesn't go away. Here's the truth. Imposter syndrome at its very nature is about self-doubt. The question, whether it's a grain of sand or a gigantic unicorn in the room, that I don't know if I've got it, if I'm capable, if I'm on the right path, and if I deserve success. And you heard perhaps here on this podcast an earlier episode where we talked about the impact of thinking, I don't know if I can play on this level. So if you haven't found that episode yet, I encourage you to go back to the back catalog because it's a really important conversation to have. And often this imposter shows up in a lot of different ways, from not making the offer to a dream client, to being in a peer room where you hold back your awesomeness and you sit as a spectator instead of an active contributor. It might mean that you simply don't take new risks in your business, or you simply play small. Well, I'm telling you, as we lead into what will be the busiest quarter of the year for most service-based businesses, it is not a time to let imposter take you out of the game. Because choosing to buy into self-doubt is simply that, a choice. And I want to invite you to use these 4 strategies, which I personally use, to help you see it, limit it, and keep going on that path that you're on. Because the world needs you to show up, to take control, to take those risks, and to recognize that mastery and amplification of your voice is necessary. You have exactly what you need for someone who's exactly in the place that's one chapter behind you, and you need to be visible. You need to own it, and you need to let your head trash be kicked to the curb. And here's how I personally do it. The first thing is to recognize when there's a grain or a giant unicorn, I said, seed of doubt about your capabilities, your confidence, or your direction. The first thing I want you to do is simply acknowledge it's happening, because welcome to the human race. I said, we're not talking about this as an industry. We're saying it happens, but there's very few of us are putting up our hands and said, today I feel like a fraud. And I will tell you, I said a personal story shortly about that. But the first thing you need to do to give it its place and start kicking it to the curb is to say, I see it. Because the truth is, all of us are wobbling in our business growth journey. Growth happens outside our comfort zone, and all this idea that growth is magical and amazing, and that is only true when you're on the other side of it. In the beginning, it's messy. It's where the butterflies in your stomach feel like they are taking over. It's when you have shortness of breath. But the most important thing when you're on this journey of building a business, is to know that my destination is non-negotiable, which means everything I want is on the other side of fear. And so when I say, I don't know if I've got it, the first thing I say is, I actually feel wobbly. And just to sit with that acknowledgement, because every gap you have in your journey, it starts with awareness and then an invitation. And so step 2 is to start asking yourself critical questions. When you hear the head trash, whether it is your personal voice that's running rampant in your head or somebody else who's let influence your perspective, that's not helpful, and you've given up someone else's brain power to live rent-free in your brain, the first thing I want you to say is what you're hearing true? Like unequivocally true? And if the answer is not, hell yes, it's true, then I want you to lean into the doubt and say, if it's not true, what else could be true? And I want you to play with possibilities. I want you to see another option. I want you to imagine not the worst case scenario, but what if the best case scenario was even a possibility? And I want you to give more airtime to that imagination than the disaster which you're foreseeing, because here is what I know, here's what I observe, and here's what I've experienced. The moment I let that doubt sit and take up camp, I take myself out of the game. I am my biggest obstacle. And if I want my dreams to happen, I must be the engine. I do not need to be my only fuel source, but I need to start with critical questions. And I want to understand that it is important to hear the voice and to challenge the assumptions that are happening and live and give breath and fire and air to, which is what else could be true. Because the moment you do that, that gigantic lion in the room starts to roar a different song. And it allows you to capture imagination, which allows you to do step 3, which is to reframe what you're seeing. Because it's okay to have the doubt, and it's okay to feel the butterflies, and it's okay to feel a lead balloon sink into your stomach, as long as you go, I see you. Maybe it's not true. And if it's not true, what else could be true? I want you to live into a reframe. And what I mean by reframe is see it from the other side. So often in business, I see people unable to see how incredibly valuable they are, to see how worthy they are of their dream, to see how worthy they are, capable they are of serving a client who doesn't need them to be perfect, who needs them to share their skills of imperfection and to share the journeys of the hiccups that we all have in life. It is the human journey. If you can't be human in your business, trust me, client growth gets really, really, really freaking hard. So I'm going to give you permission here. What you are looking at as a reframe is truly the growth inspirational story. And if you can't feel inspired in this moment of doubt that it's you living your dream, that's okay. Sometimes that's hard. Depending on what the voice is, what your history is, you get to decide, I hear you, I see you, but I'm not being defined by you. And I want you to cast your vision to your peers. Who else has gotten to where you want to go? Who else has achieved and overcome adversity? Who else has the tenacity to pick themselves off the floor? Because I will tell you, this is also humanly true. If it's possible for someone else, from simple logic, it is possible for you. And it's not to say that you can go and create the success in a nanosecond. That highlight reel has really messed up our minds and set unfair expectations in our own belief system. So break them down and rebuild them. It's about recognizing I have a gap. I'm not where they are. I haven't taken the steps and put in the effort that they have, but I know that if I do put in effort and growth and take uncomfortable actions, I too can master a craft, master a strategy, master getting uncomfortable so that I can achieve the dream that someone else has been able to show me is possible. And so that is such an important thing. And I want you to really, really recognize if you have had success in your journey, please, can I ask you this? Be honest about what it took to get there, because this is where the connection comes from. You've heard on this show before, Amplify Your Marketing Message, that the goal of building an audience of buyers is to show them a path, but show them a human journey on that path. There is no straight line unless you're at 50,000 feet. In the middle, there's hurricanes and icebergs and bent knees and all kinds of beautiful moments of serendipity that you go, I just kind of magically happened. I'm like, no, it didn't. You made it happen. You made it happen by staying in the game. So one of the most important things is you're reframing and you're casting your vision to what is possible is to have a steadfast commitment that I am staying in the game. And so anytime that you're wobbling, and hello, you're going to wobble, because I wobble and everyone I know wobbles, you're in good company. But what's important is to go back to your vision and say, this vision, this result, this end game is non-negotiable, because it's the oxygen I breathe. It's the path I'm choosing. And I'm not maybe where I want to go, but I know that I must commit 100%, full body commit. I will find a way. And I might need inspiration outside of myself. But it is possible. And you need to take it on faith that if you have an imagination and a dream, you want to be able to know you can achieve it. But it will be starting with gaps. And it will mean putting in the effort to mastery. And it will mean setbacks. It will mean beautiful moments of just unbelievable awe at how far you've come. But be human in that journey. Because step 4 in the path of strategies to recognize and move past imposter syndrome that never goes away is to know that the only thing that gets you out of doubt is action. And you don't have to climb the whole mountain in one giant leap. We are not superheroes. We are superhumans. And humans take steps towards the goal line. And if you can commit to just one step, an acknowledgement, a reframe, an idea, an aspiration, and say, what do I need to do to get moving? Because I said, you are your biggest obstacle and you are your biggest ally. When you want to amplify your message, when you want to reach new people and you want to do new things, I don't know anybody, myself included, that had all the skills, capability, and confidence when we started. We're growing. It's very, very messy behind it. And I often think of that swan analogy. Be careful when you're casting your vision and you see somebody getting to where you want to go, that you don't just see them as the swan on the surface of the pond. Graceful, elegant, totally put together, and serene. Because trust me, even the swan at a very, very 50,000 foot level is paddling hard under the surface to glide on the surface. And that paddling is what we're doing. That's the behind the scenes work. That's managing our own mindset. Because truthfully, the hardest 6 inches in your business is the ones between your 2 ears. It's your mindset. And I said, it doesn't matter if you're starting at $1,000 in revenue or 100,000 or multiple 7 figures. The trash is real. And it's up to you to kick it to the curb. And you kick it to the curb by first seeing when it's happening. I want you to ask critical questions and choose whose voice you let lead your head space. I want you to reframe if that wasn't the truth, that criticism that running rampant right now, put a but on it and say, no, I'm not hearing you, and reframe what's possible. And then I want you to recognize the gaps between where you are, where you want to go, and how do you move towards the results you seek. This is a muscle we build. It doesn't happen by watching and observing. And the more you watch and observe, the more you let the imposter win. I will tell you this candidly, and I know it true to myself. And it's the thing I use to kick myself in the butt when I get stuck in imposter syndrome. Everything I want is on the other side of fear. All of those big dreams require I step into uncomfortable roles, communities, new skill sets, and I get really, really visible, and I get really, really vulnerable, and I get really, really clear. It's not about me. For me to amplify and for me to make messaging and for me to help you grow a really successful business, you're only served if I show up for you, human. And so I want to share with you a story in today's episode about imposter syndrome, because I often hear people come into my world saying, one day I'll be like you, Christine. I said, let's just be clear. You are like me right now, a work in progress. Welcome to the community. And I know that I've got some very big visions for my business. And I know that I need to be in communities with other business owners who have more success, more complexity, and more experience so that I can learn from them. I can partner with them because at the end of the day, we are peers. Every business owner, no matter what level of success they're at, whether they're just starting or you're looking at them going, frick, wow, I want a business like that, started from the same place, went through the same steps that you're going through. And so I have made a decision to join a new community. It's a community that I'd heard about for more than a year. It's a place where I have had multiple people say, I think it's a good fit for you. And so I was evaluating, what do I want to be a vehicle growth engines, fuel sources, if you will, for next year. And I sent an invitation. I asked for a meeting to talk to the community owner. But just prior to that, when I told my friend in business, a peer, that I wanted to do this, her comment to me was, I don't know if you're ready. It's a big league. Are you ready? Do you have the systems, the back end, and do you have the time commitment to really run with that? And I appreciated her candor, but I let her take over my own confidence. And yet, two other people subsequent to that said, you should meet with them. I think you would be an asset to that community. And so anyway, I booked the meeting. I had the meeting and I was invited to join the community. And in a heartbeat, I said yes. But when I showed up for my first meeting, that person who put the seed of doubt was in the room. And I got in my own way. And I thought, the decisions are happening fast. The partnerships are next level. And I started to step back from my natural confidence that I belonged there. And I paid and committed and was invited to be there. And I suddenly started to feel intimidated in the room. And that was a bit of a spin cycle happening in my brain until we got into a smaller room where I met some incredible business owners, people that had good questions, asked for good information about my own business. And there was a real equal exchange because, hello, we are peers. Everybody's vision's different. You know this 100%, but let me remind you, comparison is the death of joy. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. You have no idea what steps they took to get there, and it might not even be the vision you want. I didn't want their business, so why was I letting them intimidate me? I wanted my own business. I wanted my own dreams. And I knew that they could help me by simply being in the way that they could share information and I could learn. And I booked several meetings. And as I came out of that meeting, I felt like I had been through an emotional roller coaster. I was exhausted because of all of the chatter going on in my own brain. People were kind. I had great meetings. I know I was able to add value. And yet at the end of it, I still go, oh my God, this is really happening. And I'm a little still scared. So what did I do? Well, I phoned two people who always have my back. And I said to them, I'm exhausted, but I joined a room and it's amazing. But oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. And I blessed my friends because the first thing they said is, why are you letting them intimidate you? You're incredibly capable. What you want requires this kind of peer group in your inner circle. I'm sure that if you were intimidated, the likelihood is someone in that room was a little intimidated by you. And that's okay. You all stayed in the room. And that's what mattered. Christine, do not let them own you. You will grow It'll be uncomfortable. Keep showing up, and show up with what? An open heart, kindness, and a growth mentality that said, I may not know the answer, but I'm committed to curiosity. And I will not let that grain of salt be watered and fertilized and given sun. I'm going to stomp on it and keep moving forward, because everything I want is a catalyst from the springboards of being around others moving at a really high level. And so I want to share that story with you, because even today, I think back at that meeting and I still feel those butterflies, but I know 100% I'm proud of myself for staying in the game. I recognize that I let somebody else live rent free, and I know that person has my best interest at heart, but that is not the most important voice. The most important voice is mine. What is my vision? What is non-negotiable for me? What do I want to do? And how can I acknowledge it, ask critical questions, reframe it, and get into action? Because as I said, imposter syndrome happens to us all at every level of our growth. Every time we're stretching, it's going to appear. And I want you to know it, see it, talk about it to your peers, but not let it own you. I want you to kick it to the curb, because you need to know everything you want is on the other side of fear. Everything you are is exactly what you need to be right now to amplify your message. Somebody needs you to show up. So give yourself this gift, the gift of betting on yourself unequivocally. You deserve what you dream of. You must earn new skills, capabilities, and confidence through action. And as I said, and you've heard me say it before, and you'll hear me say it 1,000 times if you subscribe to this show and you share this out, you must be the engine for your big dream. But you do not need to be your only fuel source. Get into rooms that are uncomfortable. Get mentors who will rise and ask good questions and challenge you openly with the hope, belief, and hand holding. That means even when you wobble, you're still in control, because you choose to pursue your big dream. I hope this has been a valuable episode. I think it's one we need to shine light on. If you are struggling a little bit right now with your own head trash, reach out. Let's have a conversation. I tell my clients one of the biggest responsibilities I have as your mentor is to hold your vision when you wobble. When you're wobbly, to help you feel confident, practice the skills, gain the confidence, and remind you of why this was your big dream. It was non-negotiable, and that's the first conversation we have with clients. I'm so lit up helping people believe in what they want, make it happen, grow for it. Business growth is elegantly simple when you recognize it's up to you to get out of your way. So remember, it's not about you. Go serve, make impact, make money, and make a big difference in the world. We'll see you all on our next episode. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit christinecampbellrapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message. We'll see you all on our next episode.